Good morning, YouTube. Um, Welcome back. And this morning, I wanted to uh, talk to y'all about uh, these articles out here based on predicted reliability, right? I've seen a lot of these articles. I'm going over one now from Cars at US News. Let's see, yeah, US News and World Reports is the site, but it's uh, the article is the most reliable cars in 2025. Now, I know there's a lot of other ranking systems like JD Power and things like that, and they'll come out with this predicted reliability rating, and it'll be the year of that new car. Like this is 2025, so they're ranking 2025 cars, and then next year they'll do 2026. As a mechanic, I have a hard time with these predicted reliability articles. And if you're out shopping for a car and you're reading these as you're in your car search, a lot of these can be misleading. And I'm going to explain why. You cannot predict reliability with certain models. Now, you can predict reliability and assume some reliability based on models previous years, um, their past performance, so like you can assume that if you go buy a new Toyota, you're going to have a reliable car. You can assume that if you go buy a Honda, you're buying a pretty reliable car because the past several years, several decades, they've been known for their reliability. Now there have been makes and models and years that have not been so great, but you can almost 9 times out of 10 bet that you're going to get a reliable vehicle if you go with one of those brands. The problem I have with some of these articles, whenever they start including vehicles like, say, from Ford or from GM or from BMW, they're notoriously unreliable. So I think they should change the wording. That's just my personal recommendation to them. I think they should change the title of these from predicted reliability to something like best quality new car, like best build quality or something like that, where I think ultimately what they're doing is they're going into these new cars and they're saying, okay, for the price point that this car is at, what kind of value are you getting? That would be more appropriate for some of these articles or for some of these classifications, because there's a lot of cheaper compact cars that they put soft touch materials in the dash and give them a more quality feel or image whenever you set in it, right? Like I've set in a new Hyundai Elantra and then go and set in a new Nissan Sentra, which they're the same class of car. So you're comparing apples to apples. I'm not comparing a Nissan Sentra to a Toyota Camry because they're two different. One's a mid-size sedan, and the other's a compact sedan. So I'm not going to compare a compact sedan to a mid-size or large sedan because that would just be an unfair comparison. Of course, the large sedan is going to feel nicer and be more comfortable and things like that. So what I've noticed, like say, just between those two is the Nissan Sentra is going to have soft touch dash materials, and you're going to have softer materials around the dash. It's not all just hard plastic, right? Whereas maybe the Hyundai Elantra, it's going to be all hard plastic, but they're going to change the patterns of the plastic and things like that to give it a different look and things like that. So I don't think that you should go off these reliability wording in a lot of these articles whenever you're talking about brand spanking new cars. You don't know what that car is going to do. You're going to have to buy it and own it, and somebody's going to have to buy it and own it for 2, 3, 4, 5 years to see what kinds of problems, issues, recalls, things like that occur. A recall in itself in my opinion, is not bad, because that's at least the manufacturer realizing, hey, we've made a mistake and we want to make it right, and they don't charge you for it. Yes, it's an inconvenience having to take your vehicle back to the dealership for them to fix the recall, depending on how long the recall takes. And then the worry from the time you get that letter stating there is a recall on your vehicle to how long it's going to be before you can actually take your vehicle in to get that recall addressed. But there's tons of recalls. And for instance, speaking of recalls, the king of recall, which is Ford, one of the vehicles on this list in this article, most reliable new cars in 2025. Now there's no ranking on this list. There's no number one, number two, no number three, whatever. They're just listing them in no order. But the 2025 Ford Bronco Sport has a JD Power, and they're going off of the JD Power reliability score on this article. Now, mind you, this article is from US News. The JD Power has a reliability score of 88 out of 100. Ford has tons of recalls. So if you're out in the market for a brand new vehicle and you come across this article, not knowing any better, and you go, oh, wow, I like the look of the Bronco Sport. Maybe I should go get a Bronco Sport. And then you go spend your hard-earned money on this, which according to this article, they've got it listed at $29,995, and I highly, maybe in this market, maybe in this particular time, you probably could go on the lot and get one for $29,995, but I've seen them listed for way higher than that. And yes, I know it's the Bronco Sport. They tend to creep up into the bigger Bronco, regular Bronco pricing, base pricing, somewhere around 35 to 40. Yeah, I just wanted to give a mechanic's perspective on some of these options that they're getting. Oh, and then they've also, the very next one is a 2025 Chevrolet Equinox. Anybody that knows anything about vehicle reliability and mechanics and things like that will tell you to steer clear of an Equinox. But this is on the list. So far, I haven't gone through all of these. Let me back up and start from the beginning, and I'll tell you which ones I'll agree with, partially agree with, and why. So the very first one on the list actually is the 2025 Chevrolet Corvette with a JD Power reliability score of 88 out of 100. I would say these are very reliable for what they are. I don't think the everyday buyer is actually shopping for a Corvette, but if you're in the market for a Corvette, I would actually say that's a good buy. They've engineered it well, fairly reliable. Yeah, they've had some dual clutch transmission issues in the early years in like 2020 to 2022 when they first came out with the C8, but I think they're gradually working all those bugs out. So I would say the new C8 is a good bet if you're in the market for that type of car. The next one on the list is a 2025 Genesis G80. Same predicted reliability score, 88 out of 100. The Genesis is a beautiful looking car. I love Genesis styling, and I think that's where automotive manufacturers know that they have to grab your eye first. They have to get you visually interested in the vehicle, because otherwise they probably wouldn't sell some of these cars that they sell. I don't know about the G80 personally. I've never worked on one. I've never had to deal with one. They seem to be, everything that I've heard and read, Genesis does seem to be like, if you're going to buy anything from Hyundai, Kia, etc., Genesis is the way to go. But I do know that with them having turbocharged engines and them being direct injection, you're going to have more expensive repair costs long term. I think in those you would have a good solid first 3 to 4 years of ownership, hassle worry free. But I think when you start putting some miles on it and get some age on the car, that's where you're going to start seeing these expensive repair bills. And when you talk about a vehicle that's made from Hyundai and Kia, but it's in the luxury category, you're going to get some luxury car repair bills along with that. So as long as you're mindful and okay with that, I don't see anything wrong with going for a Genesis. The next one on the list is 2025 Cadillac XT5. Cadillac is just a pretty General Motors. I mean, it's basically a dressed up Equinox. Stay away from it. They did put the V6 in there, which is less problematic than the 4 cylinders, but at this, they've got it rated at 44,295. There's so many more vehicles I would highly recommend before buying that. I just can't see paying that much for something I know is going to give me a headache of problems within 2 years. Now this one, the next one is a 2025 Lexus ES Hybrid at $43,440 at the same price point as the Cadillac. I'm definitely going all in on this Lexus for 43. That if my budget is $42,000 to $44,000 for a vehicle, Lexus hands down. There's no question. You get the luxury bells and whistles. You get the smooth comfort ride. The only thing for me personally that I'm against on the hybrid is I'm a mechanic. I like to do my own maintenance. I would prefer just the basic naturally aspirated engine. I don't want to have to mess with a high voltage system. And even if without me doing my own repairs, for you, the potential new buyer, when you get into those hybrid maintenance and things that repairs that are related to the hybrid system, you're going to shell out some more money than what you would on a normal repair that's not hybrid or EV based. So, I mean, if you're willing to spend the money, highly recommend it. But just, I think so many people are just not really truly aware of what they're getting into when they actually purchase the vehicle. The Lexus ES is sleek, it's sexy, it's got all the visual cues, and you may feel like $1 million whenever you drive one or get out of one, and people see you get out of one. You get all of that, but just know what you're getting into from a maintenance perspective and a long-term cost perspective whenever you start buying hybrid and things like that. So then the very next one is the 2025 Lexus ES. So they've got the hybrid and the regular version of it. So let's see here. The hybrid is $43,440. The regular ES is $42,040 is what they've got on this article. So yeah, Lexus ES. So far, out of all the ones that I've looked at so far, the Lexus ES is my number one pick. Then we go into the 2025 Chevrolet Traverse, which, back to the visual cues, they've now retweaked the styling of it to look like a miniature Suburban. And visually, it's a nice looking SUV, but with that V6 and things like that, and Lord help me if they've now converted it. I don't know if they've now transitioning to that turbo 4-cylinder in these. I don't know, but if it's got that V6, the V6 can be problematic. And it's just a GM, you're going to have all kinds of little hiccupy issues with these things that just nickel and dime you to death. And yet again, it's at a $40,700 price point. I'd much rather have the Lexus. Now then we got a 2025 Lexus IS, $40,435. Too close to the price of the ES. I'd rather have the ES just because it's a bigger car. It's going to have more room. The IS is, while it's sportier, so if you're in the market for a sleek, sporty sedan, or you're trying to compare between the IS and maybe a 300 series BMW or a Mercedes, well, definitely Lexus is going to be the way to go as far as reliability. I personally I'm not a big guy, but I'm above average. And so I like to have a little bit more leg room, a little bit more shoulder, elbow room. I think the IS, even though it's a four-door sedan, is just a little bit too compact. I actually feel like I have more room in the cabin of my Mustang than I do in a Lexus IS. My wife had a Lexus IS, not a new one. Hers was like hers was a 2010, and I hated driving that car. I really did. Nothing against the mechanics and the reliability of it, but I just did not like the feel. I felt like I was in a tuna can. And now we're back to the Bronco Sport. So I did go back a few on those. So, you know, I'm not going to go through the rest of these, but I just wanted to give you my thought process, like as I'm going through articles like these, that for someone who don't know maintenance on a car and don't really turn wrenches on cars, the things that I think about whenever I see these, regardless of how much the price of the vehicle is to buy, I do think, okay, what technology does it have on it that could fail, that could be very expensive? What do I want my overall ownership to be? I mean, I know the euphoric feeling of buying that new car and showing it off to your friends that first week or two is exhilarating and all that, but if you don't think about what could happen long term and how much expenses that some of this technology and some of these car features that have the potential to go wrong is going to cost you long term, you could be in way more than you ever wanted. So, a car that maybe you spend $30,000 on because you don't maybe have the $42,000 to buy a nicer car could end up costing you that $42,000 or more over time because of one crazy wonky repair that just could have been prevented. As far as like, say, comparing a BMW to a Lexus, for one, you're going to get a cheaper entry point by buying the Lexus than a BMW. Second of all, your long-term cost is going to be lower with the Lexus than the BMW because your repair bills and maintenance costs and all that stuff is going to drastically keep it accelerating. So there you have it. I just wanted to give y'all some food for thought for whenever you're out there shopping for vehicles. Keep in mind that there are some vehicle brands that have proven reliability, and regardless of what a lot of writers want to predict reliability, there's really no way of doing that on a new vehicle without some actual road time and getting it out there and seeing what it really does. Maybe look at reliability from the previous, say, 3 years, something like that. What vehicles have been proven the most reliable over the past 3 to 5 years? But you're not going to be able to predict reliability of a brand new current year car. And as I stated, maybe if they tweak their criteria and maybe see, hey, from a build quality perspective, who has the best build quality for the price? Yeah, I could see that, because build quality is build quality. You can look at how the body lines line up, how the fit and finish is from the factory. Now you can measure that, but mechanically how well that vehicle is going to do over time, you don't know when it's brand new. So anyway, thanks. God bless. See you on the next one.